Welcome to Not My Usual Read, a couple's book exchange podcast. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Charlie.
Today we are going to talk about our most recent books, the ones that we've been working on this past week. We just finished. I did Heartless Hunter by Kristen Ciccarelli. And Charlie, what did you read?
I read Horns by Joe Hill.
Yeah, and you were taking your sweet old time with that book.
Yeah, I had a little bit of work to get done. Just a little backstory. I'm going back to school, so I'm trying to get some schoolwork done in between. But I powered through it. Well, I didn't power through it. It was a good book. Would definitely recommend it. But I had to cram 100-something pages in the past 2 days.
Meanwhile, some might say I'm cheating. I don't think so. But I slurp up books super quickly because I do Audible.
Right.
And I think
I'm kind of getting... Book. I have an account now. I did listen to some of Horns on it, but then... So I was telling you yesterday, I don't know if I just need to speed it up, but there's a chapter that was 3 pages and instead of 9 minutes to listen to, which I just think is insane. Because then I'm like, what is even the... I can just read this in 3 minutes.
Not all of us are super fast readers.
I wouldn't even say I'm a fast reader, but it's 3 pages, 9 minutes. God, this guy is really just taking his time getting through this.
You can speed it up.
Yes, so I will probably do that with the next books we do.
Makes me really think back to how slow my narrators have been. But I feel like it's also because they go into different voices, which I really appreciate, the voice acting.
When you think too, they're proper reading, stopping at commas, periods. When you're reading on your own, you don't do that. You're just
there has been some pauses, and I'm just did my book pause? Oh, no, she's pausing for effect. Anyways, so I got done with Heartless Hunter pretty quick. I thought it was really great. It was a little predictable, but I thought it was so comfortable in that way. So I didn't mind that I kind of knew where it was going,
Right.
On Goodreads, it has a really high rating. It was rated like one of the top fantasy romance books, I think, of 2024. I've seen it on a lot of Instagram book talks or whatever. But it got a 4.2 on Goodreads out of 135,000 ratings.
Ooh,
so good stuff. I know.
Yeah, lots of women just looking for something after Fourth Ring and ACOTAR, huh?
Yeah, they're trying. I thought it was good. I thought it definitely ranked highly. It still doesn't... It doesn't... do it as well as those two did. I will say too that there was I know that it's with any book. There's people that love it, but then there was a decent amount of people that were kind of hating on it.
There's haters and everything.
Yeah, there is. And I thought it was great. I thought it was really interesting, the high society kind of vibe, but then I do love a secretly powerful female lead. So I thought it was really cool, the parallels of her being kind of stupid and acting like she doesn't care about anything. She's really vain. And then she's this hidden badass that's secretly hiding her identity as a witch. Okay, so going back to the haters, I was going to read a funny bad comment because I think this one's pretty great. This one said DNF 43%, so they didn't finish. My little
Is DNF the book?
What?
Is DNF the book? I'm guessing.
No, DNF is used a lot for did not finish. So if you ever see that,
okay.
DNF for anybody that doesn't know, that is the term for did not finish. I will say the very
read
first
it or leave it.
Yes, the very first time I read
Just made that up.
I was like, "What? I have to look this up." In my head, I was like, "Is it down to?"
Yeah, DTF. Yeah, definitely not.
Anyways, my little toe has more chemistry with the foot of the bed than whatever these two had, and I was like, "Oh,
ooh."
I know." I thought that they had really good chemistry, and then so she doesn't cut herself. She does blood magic. She doesn't cut herself. I'll go into that. She uses menstrual blood so that they can't identify scars. So this person said, "Period blood for spells, I'll pass." And I was like, I felt like a really big feminist when I read that it was menstrual blood. I was like, yeah, that's smart. So,
right, but you were saying is that they can't use as powerful magic.
Yeah, it's because it's, you don't bleed that much. But yeah,
I mean, if you saved it up though, could you do like a mega spell after like a real heavy flow, like a year?
Well, it's also old magic at that point, so no. But I will
Oh,
talk
so if
to
the
you
blood's
about.
old, the magic is old.
Yeah, well, the magic isn't old; it's just not as powerful. Potent,
Oh, if it's not
fresh
fresh blood.
Yes,
Gotcha.
and there's like a difference between dark magic and like I don't know, consensual magic. You know, like if you have somebody
Right.
else's blood, you won't go bad. But if you steal blood, okay, we're getting too far into it though. So, really quickly, well, I'll read my favorite quote at the end. Okay, so themes in this book were enemies to lovers, love triangle, romantasy, and dual point of view. So we had the point of view between Rune and Gideon. So we've got their two perspectives throughout the whole book. And basically, after a revolution where the witches fall from power and are now being hunted and killed, Rune's in hiding, and she's hiding in plain sight. I will say she turned her grandma in. Her grandma was a witch, her adopted grandma, so she didn't know if she was going to be a witch. She didn't realize she would be a witch because her parents, as far as she knows, we don't know anything about her lineage or where she came from, but they were not witches, apparently. But her grandma is a witch, and whenever this whole revolution happens, she convinces Rune to turn her over because she is like begging her. She knows that they'll kill Rune too for being like a witch sympathizer, you know?
So she didn't know that Rune was a witch either.
No, she had no idea. Well, I don't know. She might have had an inkling because she encourages her to go see her friend, Seraphine, and she'll explain everything. So, and we'll talk about Seraphine again. Anyway, so Rune basically turns her grandmother in, and because of this, like, she has to watch her get executed, and she becomes like a part of the resistance, or not resistance, but she basically is on their side, you know, and they don't realize she's a witch. They know that she was adopted, so she's in the clear. She's hidden and protected. So she gets to live in her grandmother's house. They basically give her all of like the property as a thank you.
Nice.
Yeah. And anyways, she basically is like in high society. And when she's 16, when she gets her period for the first time, that's when she realizes she's a witch, because witch's blood is black. And she just like decides that she's going to use this power to free witches. And the thing is that's really sad, is that she doesn't really have a whole lot of support because every other witch is in hiding, basically. So she has these powers, but all of the people that could have taught her how to use them are either dead or in hiding.
Yeah.
So Seraphine is who she's looking for at the beginning of the book. It's the friend of Nan's, which is her grandma.
And she's also a witch.
She's supposed to be like a really powerful witch.
Okay.
Competing almost with the witch queens, which all got murdered at the beginning of the revolution. Okay. By Gideon and Alex, the two brothers. So she's a witch in hiding, and then Gideon is the witch hunter who's onto her because so he's looking for the Crimson Moth, who is Rune's alter ego whenever she's not pretending to be a socialite. And she's basically they're suspecting her because she owns a ship, because she's really wealthy, because she's got all of Nan's money.
Like a ship she lives on, or just a ship for like...
No, it's just for it's like a merchant ship.
Okay.
Yeah, so she can like, I don't know. It doesn't really explain why she has a ship, other than she's rich. She's rich, and I guess she gets things. Anyways,
Okay.
so the last like 3 people that have escaped, like the last 3 witches that have been set free by the Crimson Moth have been found, like her symbol has been found on that boat. So they've tracked it back to Rune. So they suspect her. And Gideon is
And what's the Crimson Moth? As you said, this is like kind of like a
It's like a signature. That's
signature that this happens after the spells.
So whenever every scene that she's a part of, like where she uses her magic to get away.
Bad luck. It's like leaving your phone number at the scene of a crime.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a symbol. It's like a tag. So, I mean, it's not like it says Rune Winters, but...
Yeah, but you can like now trace it back to...
I mean, yeah, if she uses her
else
magic,
it's found.
but she doesn't use her magic unless it's an emergency, and it's because she can't use her magic because she only has like 4 vials of blood from her period every month, you know?
Right.
Anyways, so Gideon is trying to court her, even though she, he started off as like a huge asshole to her, like the very beginning, and she is best friends with his brother, which is how they know each other. And Alex is this like musician who's really soft spoken, and he's in love with Rune, even though she's kind of just like in like brotherly love for him, you know.
Of course. Friend zone.
And so like it's as they're like doing this cat and mouse, as Gideon is like trying to like make Rune fall for him so that he can see more and more of her naked body to see if she has any scars, which is basically like the whole thing.
Nice.
And she's trying to like flirt with him because she's looking for a suitor so she can have insider information about where Seraphine is, because whenever she went to go find Seraphine, they had basically arrested her, and the whole time they're like moving her around and they're going to execute her. So she's trying to free Seraphine.
So she's trying to get info from Gideon.
What?
She's trying to find info from Gideon. Gideon's trying to see her naked.
Yes. And he's just trying to see if she's a witch.
Yeah.
But yes, potentially get her naked. Anyway, so they're slowly like starting to see each other's point of view. Like it's revealed why Gideon killed the 2 other witch queens and why Alex killed the one witch queen, the youngest, because Gideon was in like a love affair with Cressida, the youngest, and they sound like they were really evil, which witches at this point are not bad, it seems, because we're on Rune's side. But now we're starting to see, they were really neglecting the people that, you know, revolted. And then we see Rune's point of view where they're just like butchering witches, and like, you know, she doesn't really understand why they're doing that, other than, you know, they were not wanting to be powerless anymore, I guess. Right. Anyways, so we're at a point where we realize that Alex, so he's really sweet. He supposedly killed this youngest queen. Spoiler alert, everybody. So she's not dead. The one that abused Gideon, the reason why he killed the other 2 witch queens, and the reason why he hates witches. He fell in love with her whenever he was working in the castle for her, him and his family. And she basically like, she made him fall in love with her, and then she like, as he was trying to like leave her because she was kind of like sucking all the life out of him, it was like he was kind of like a man, how do I say this? She was treating him like he was like a gigolo. Like he was like her sex thing.
So she was like a succubus or something like
that?
Like
yes. That's a great way to put it. And
or incubus?
No, succubus is good. Succubus, yeah, you're right. Anyways, she basically like killed his mom and his sister while Alex was away at school.
These
so he didn't really see this.
Witches seem great. I don't know why anybody would want to kill them. They seem awesome.
The witches? I know.
Yeah,
well, like, I get it now. We're, like, as the reader, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. I get why everybody's pissed at the witches. But Rune doesn't know that, and Gideon is just now saying this. So I'm, like, they're starting to fall for each other. And then a bunch of stuff happens where, like, Gideon thinks that Rune is this, as murdering people. There's people that are, like, guards that are getting murdered. But I'm like, Gideon, has the Crimson Moth symbol been found at any of these places? No. So there's another person. So
right. Slow your roll, Gideon.
Yeah, right? Chill out. Look for the evidence.
Yeah.
I mean, he totally just like, it must be the Crimson Moth.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's Rune, Alex that are besties, and then there's also her other best friend, who is De Winters. Oh my gosh, don't tell me I'm blanking on this name. Verity De Winter is her other friend who lost two sisters, and she basically got disowned by her family. And she's going to college, and she is just another friend that knows a bunch about magic, but she's not a witch herself. Her two sisters were witches. And so I feel like stupid that I didn't see that as like a hint, you know?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Another spoiler. Y'all ready? So Verity De Winter is actually Cressida. I know.
Gasp. Oh my God.
I know. Which, I mean, I should have seen it coming, but like I really didn't. I was very surprised. I was like, okay, it's either her or Harrow, who is like another guard. Because I was like, why is Harrow really pushing for Gideon to sleep with Rune? I was like, this is a little creepy.
Right.
Harrow. Anyway, so Verity is Cressida. And out of nowhere, like, it's a really big shift all at once, where Verity goes from being this sweet, caring friend to this, like, kind of horrible person.
Mm-hmm.
And being, like, really cruel. And she's been murdering guards this whole time. Super powerful, dark magic, because she's killing people and taking their blood. And, anyways, so basically Gideon and Rune are enemies, then they start to love each other, and then at the very end, like, things go super south whenever Cressida reveals herself in the square. So basically Gideon finds out that Rune is a witch whenever she is discovered whenever Gideon went to go say his apologies because he was really horrible to her. And then he discovers her casting room at her house, and he realizes that she's a witch. So, like, the truth comes out, and he's so horrible to her. And it's just, like, layers on layers of, like, him doing something bad, and then her doing something kind of, I mean, she's revealed as a witch.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just, like, don't ever communicate. It's a little frustrating that it's like, well, if y'all would just sit down and, like, hear each other out.
Right.
But they hate each other's, like, people so much.
They're on, yeah.
Yeah, so the division is really strong. So the book ends with, I'm not going to tell you the biggest part because it's, somebody dies and it's not one of the two main.
All right, well.
And Gideon is left hating her, and Rune, like, sails away in her ship with Cressida, who killed somebody. And she's
so Cressida has a ship too?
No, it's Rune's ship. Anyways.
Oh, okay. Well, so I feel like I know who. Well, doesn't Seraphine have a ship?
No, Seraphine is another witch.
I thought she had a ship, so she has a ship too? All these witches have ships?
No, it's Rune's ship. They're all on one ship. It's not like they're, like, sailing away on...
I swear you said in the beginning Seraphine had a ship, because I asked...
No, it's...
Is this like a house ship? And you're like, no, it's like a merchant ship.
No, I said Rune. That was Rune's ship. That's why Gideon suspected her.
Okay. All right. I guess I just misunderstood.
Rune's ship.
Yeah, I got you.
They sail away. The reason why Gideon suspected her, and Gideon is so against Rune, even though, I mean, he should be more mad at Cressida. I feel like I should just say it. Should I just say it?
You don't have to. I mean, there's another book, isn't there?
There is another book.
It's coming out.
It just, like, left me feeling so bittersweet and, like, not even sweet, just bitter. I was just like, oh, they hate each other.
I'm sure they'll come around. They're probably going to have tons of sex in the next book.
I really hope so. But I thought it was really good. My overall rating was, I'm thinking, like, a 3.5 out of 5. The only thing that's really keeping me from giving it a solid 4 is the fact that there's, like, a love triangle, which I hate. And it's, like, a lot of, like, walking around Alex's feelings. I just felt like the cat and mouse was just, like, a little... There was times when I was like, oh, you guys, just get it together.
Right.
Like, just kiss already.
Just do it.
So,
Jeez.
I'm going to say a 3.5. And I'm going to leave you with my favorite my favorite quote. Sorry. But which character was she? The heroine, the villain, or the fool? The fool. I just thought that was a really cool one. I like the way she's talking to the reader, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, I thought that was cool. All right.
Awesome.
I cannot wait to hear how this book ended of yours.
All about horns. Yeah, I can't really, because there's only a few characters, so it's going to be basically big spoilers the whole way through. So if you have read the book, great. If you haven't but want to, I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry.
Well, thanks for coming.
I mean, this is a book review podcast, so maybe read it in like 2 months when you forget about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could also like give them like the first.
It's just hard not to, because it's like, well, here, I mean, you'll see. So
I spoiled the crap out of mine. So.
Yeah, so it'll be fine. So it's, Horns by Joe Hill. It's dark fantasy, kind of a crime fiction. 3.93 out of 5 stars. So pretty similar out of 116,000 reviews on Goodreads. And my final review is pretty much in line with that. I'd probably give it a 3.5, maybe a 4, probably like a 3.8. I'd say it was good, wasn't great. It really hooked me in the beginning, but I will get to that. I had a bad funny review too, and it says, while this wasn't a bad book, it definitely was not a book for me. To be honest, I actually hated this book. I thought the supernatural element went nowhere. There was far too much offhanded sex jokes, which I don't think so. And I really don't get why some people reveal their deepest, darkest secrets to Ig and others only reveal the surface. That means you did not read the book, because it explains why that happened. So whoever this reviewer is, I don't know what's wrong with you.
They weren't paying attention.
They weren't paying attention, or they just stopped reading like halfway through.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Joe Hill, but it is Stephen King's son. He used a different name, I guess, because he didn't want, clout from his dad. It's his second book, I believe. I hear some of his stuff is better, so maybe he's just kind of working out the kinks. And like I said, I wouldn't say this is a bad book. It was good. I would recommend it to people who kind of like crime, kind of dark fantasy, fiction kind of books. Yeah, you can definitely tell kind of the correlation between the two of them. I think they're both really good at descriptions and describing scenes and characters and stuff like that. I don't think he's as honed as his dad is, but I do think that he is a good writer and will, I don't know if I say fill the shoes, but I think he could be as good as his dad if he keeps doing it. I mean,
yeah.
Stephen King was like known for just pumping out books. He did
so many books.
Well, I think he did. I did a lot of cocaine in the 80s and was just cranking them out. There's several interviews where he's just like, I don't even remember writing this book.
Oh my
like he was just all kinds of messed up on cocaine and alcohol. So,
but it's the 80s. What can we say?
What can you say? You lock yourself in a room, do some cocaine, and write some books. So yeah, the book is kind of separated into, I believe it's 5. Yeah, it's into 5 sections, and each section kind of tells. There's like a through line between each one. One of them is a flashback, but the first section is basically the main character Ig wakes up. He's hungover, and he finds that horns are sprouting out of his head. He kind of just runs around trying to figure out what exactly is going on. Discovers people tell him kind of awful secrets when they see the horns, but they also forget them almost immediately.
Yeah.
So like, if I think it was in the first section, he basically goes to see his parents. I mean, this is kind of like at the end of him just like going around town talking to people, and even his parents are just like, I just wish you weren't around anymore. I just wish you'd leave. You make me sad. And that's the backstory of that, is because his girlfriend was murdered, and everyone thinks that he did it.
Present that part.
It kind of talks it offhandedly, but then like the rest of the book is basically about her murder.
Yeah.
So it kind of says that, and then you kind of get this backstory where there's like everyone basically thinks he does it, but because he's from a wealthy family, they think his parents just kind of paid it off.
Yeah.
And then there's kind of like a bombshell at the very end of the first section where he goes and sees his brother Terry, and Terry kind of says this big clue because he sees the horns, and just kind of it's weird. It's like sometimes it's secret, sometimes just like confessing stuff, sometimes it's just like, oh, I want to, like he went this one lady and she was like, I just want to shove my face in this box of donuts and eat them all. you know,
He's
and
like, you should do
yeah,
that.
and she's like, do you think I should? And he's like, sure, you know, and then yeah, she just like eats all these donuts. So it's very weird.
I mean, like, as far as murder mystery goes, what a cool tool, you know? Like, it's a really cool premise.
Well, and it's kind of similar to like Knives Out, where like you know what happens in the beginning, like who's murdered, and then the rest of it's just like, okay, why did it happen, and all of that, you know?
Yeah.
So you're kind of getting backstories keep going. But yes, that's the first section, and the second section is kind of how everyone meets. And so the main character is Ig, or Ignatius. I'm not exactly sure how to say his name. Basically goes by Ig, and all the side characters, which is Marin, his girlfriend, Lee, his best friend, Terry, his brother, and Glenna, who is kind of in and out of the book. Not even a side character, like a tertiary character, I guess you could say, if you do colors.
Yeah, that is a colors word.
So the second section is a flashback of them as like teenagers, basically. And this one we get to see. I think it's called Cherry Bomb because it centers around like fireworks. Mm-hmm. But this is where Ig met Marin, who's where he also met Lee, in church. And like I said, it's kind of centered around fireworks because in this section they're blowing stuff off, they're being kids. I really like this section, just being a young boy myself, constantly obsessed with fireworks when I was in like my early middle school years, teenage. Yeah, it was really cool. So yeah, they all kind of meet, and then at the very end of this, Lee actually loses his sight to one of the fireworks, so he's blind in one eye, basically.
Yes.
Then the third section, we kind of snap back, and this is actually the night that Marin was murdered, because the end of the second section, or the end of the first section, sorry. The end of the first section, Terry tells Ig, like, I'm so sorry, but Lee killed Marin.
Yeah, he confesses.
He confesses to
section,
it.
yes.
And then it just snaps the second section. You're like, well, crap, now I got to read,
Yeah, it's like, what happened?
60 pages of their backstory. But it is a good backstory. Third section, it snaps back, and it's about the night Marin was murdered. Basically, she broke up with Ig that night because Ig's going to London. He got a new job. They're going to be separate. And she's like, oh, I just want you to date other people. I want to date other people. We've been together since we were really young. Let's just kind of separate for a little while.
Yeah.
And you get that little bit. And then it goes to Ig confronting Lee at his job. He's a congressman's like aide, basically. And he finds that he can't get inside of Lee's head, which kind of, we figure out why later, which the reviewer obviously didn't get to that part. And you kind of get a little bit more context about some of his abilities. Like he learns he has like second speech. So we find out about them breaking up. He goes and confronts Lee. And then at the end, he goes back to Terry.
Yeah.
And then he touches Terry. And this is where one of his abilities comes in. If he touches people, he can like see their secrets, basically.
Oh.
And then that's when it goes to the night that it happened. And Terry and Lee are hanging out. Basically, they pick up Marin after Ig storms off from the breakup. They pick her up in the parking lot. She's all wet. She's going to throw up. So they pull over so she can throw up. Lee gives her clothes. Terry's super messed up in the back 'cause he's been like smoking weed, drinking, all that stuff. So he just passes out. He wakes up and there's a rock on his chest that he thinks is just covered in mud. So he picks it up, throws it down. He notices Marin is no longer in the car, and they're actually at Lee's mom's house. Lee's mom is dead. So it's like Lee's house now.
Yeah.
And Lee's basically like, hey, we got to figure this out because something happened. Like, we killed Marin, God. And Terry's like, no, I'm going to the police. Like, this is crazy. And he's like, well, you touched that rock. That's what I killed her with. Like, your blood's all over her, or her blood's all over you. Like, I wiped some on you, and I hid all that stuff to basically make you have to, like, help me. And that's kind of how that ends, except there is one last part. Lee actually confronts Ig, and he tries to kill Ig. He basically sets him and his car on fire. That's how that section ends.
Oh my gosh, just like
it's pretty, so it just boom ends. And then the fourth section is actually about Lee, and you kind of find some backstory about Lee, and he's just like a dark, twisted person. Like, he's the one who killed his mom. She was really sick, and he would like turn the AC off in the house and just cover her in blankets, so it'd be like 100 degrees in the house.
Oh my god.
And he wouldn't give her water or anything, and like all this stuff. super twisted, and then you find
Does it
out.
explain why he's a horrible person?
Well, she was like a pretty horrible mom to him when he was
Oh,
younger, so it's just this like kind of deep seated
Mommy issues.
hate. Yeah. And then you also find out that like he like everything he has seen through his eyes, like his actions with Marin, he thinks like everything that's happened between them is like these little like coded things where she actually really wants him when like she doesn't
he's
at
reading
all.
into things.
He's just super reading into things. It's really weird. Fixed section is back to real life, and then Ig is fine, and he's basically like the devil now. He realized he can be healed by flames. He's like red.
Oh
He's
my gosh.
walking around with a pitchfork. I don't really know. I don't know. Yeah, I guess he's like the full-on devil.
So it just like ends like that?
No. Like this is the start of the section. He's like, he basically like drives the car into the river, and then the fifth section is him like waking up, and he's like totally fine. Like everything's cool, you know?
And is he red in that part?
Yeah, he's like blistered red. I think his like hair's gone, so he's bald, except for like the goatee that he had, and he's got these big horns.
What about Lee?
Lee left. So Lee like set him on fire and then just like.
Oh, so Lee.
dipped.
That's right. You said that Lee was trying to kill him.
Yeah.
Because he's a horrible, twisted person. See, that's what I don't get though. Is how did Ig not see that in Lee before he turned into this dude? You know what I mean? Was there any?
I guess he was very good at like hiding, and Lee's whole thing was like WWIG, like what would Ig do? Is he was just like trying to play him the whole time to basically just get to Marin.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, he sounds horrible. So he tries to kill Ig, and then he flees, and then Ig turns.
Well, he
into
just
the
thinks
devil.
he's like Ig dies basically. So then Ig wakes up, his car's like washed down river, and most of the people in town are kind of happy because some of them know it's his car, and like I said, everyone thinks he did it.
Yeah, they are all.
So everyone's
against
like,
him.
sweet, this dude's just dead. He's no longer like a blight on our town. And yeah, he's
So
just
dark.
like, he finds like a skirt hanging in a tree, and now he's just like wearing a skirt, full on devil,
Nice.
carrying around a
look.
pitchfork.
In a skirt. I love it.
Yeah, so a bit more happens in this chapter. He kind of goes around, he talks to some people, and it kind of makes him seem almost like an anti-hero.
Yeah.
Like the devil's not that bad of a guy. You
Yeah,
know?
right. He's just one of
'Cause-
us.
Well, he's kind of like healing people. Like he goes and sees Marin's dad, and he's
Yeah.
like, you know, hey, like, because like you said, he can kind of, I mean, they have to accept it, but he can kind of will people to do certain things. So he's like, oh, forget, like, move on, do these things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
At least so far he's not using his powers for anything too bad. It sounds like.
no, it's basically
except
been
for
for
the
good.
making that chick eat a whole box of donuts. I mean, that's.
We didn't know really what was
sinful.
going on at that point, but
Yeah, I know.
yeah. So then Glenna comes out to. He's basically like living in this foundry. I didn't really talk about that. Where Marin was murdered. That's where she was like found, but he kind of has been hanging out here.
Oh.
So he's living in this like old foundry basically, and
That's her dad?
That's where all like the no
Who's Glenn?
Ig.
Oh,
Glenna.
I'm sorry.
Glenna is like that like tertiary character that's kind
That's
of just
right.
like in and out. She kind of dated Ig. She's dated Lee. She's just kind of been like
Hopping around.
yeah. So Ig's living in this foundry, but like all the teenage kids kind of hang out there, and it's like a known spot to just like kind of hang out.
Yeah.
So she goes out there looking for him. It's also where Marin was murdered. So
Yeah.
like they all kind of know he likes to go out there. So she goes out there. She sees him and is like, "This is crazy. You're like the devil." And he's like, "Hey, you should quit your job. Leave." She's like obsessed with Lee. He's like, "Lee's really bad. Don't mess around with him. Just like go live a better life." Basically.
Yeah.
She accidentally leaves her phone, and then he uses his second voice to call Lee, and he's like, "Hey, I got my car stuck out here. Can you come help me?" So now Lee's coming back to the foundry where he thought Ig was dead.
Yeah.
So Ig is like setting traps. He's doing all this stuff. He's like getting ready for this like kind of showdown because this is like the end of the book,
like
basically.
revenge a little bit.
So that basically happened. His brother shows up. He tells his brother he has to hide, and then you kind of find out like, okay, he can't force people to do things. Like it's not like that. They have to actually accept it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what Terry said. And then you also find out the reason. So in the beginning, when I said he couldn't get in Lee's head, if someone's wearing a cross, it can kind of block or like nullify his powers.
Yeah.
Terry was wearing Marin's cross, or Lee was wearing Marin's cross.
Oh, that makes sense.
So that's why I couldn't get inside.
I thought it was
of his
because.
head. But he also finds out if he wears it, it like hides his horns.
Oh.
And then he's just like
It
himself.
doesn't burn him?
No.
I thought that it was because of the firework and he was like blind in one eye.
I thought that too at first, but yeah, it's the cross. It can kind of like...
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Obviously.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. So Lee and Ig have this kind of big showdown. Just one of Lee's bodyguards is there because he's a congressman's aide.
Yeah.
Has this big showdown. He ends up, killing them both. He set a trap because he can like kind of control snakes. He set a trap in this like kind of area for Lee in case something went bad. But he got super messed up by Lee. Lee had a shotgun and like shot him a bunch and kind of fucked him up.
But you can't kill the devil.
I mean, I guess you could. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
But so he's so messed up he can't say, and he's telling Terry like, "Don't go over there because there's a phone over there." Terry goes to get the phone because it was Glenna's phone that he used, and this snake bites him like 6 times basically. No, Terry's his brother. You don't want Terry to die.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
sorry,
because Terry didn't actually do anything. I mean, he kept his secret of like Marin getting killed.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But he didn't.
He didn't actually
implicated.
do it. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So Terry, I keep getting Terry and Lee confused.
Lee is the friend. Terry is the brother.
Why is Terry there? Why? I thought you.
Because he wanted to help his brother.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he gets all bit up. And then Lee's kind of crawling across the ground. It's kind of some flashbacks of some things. He sets himself on fire because he gets healed by flames. And then he's good. And he basically like tells Terry, he's like, "Look, I'm going to tell you to forget some things or remember some things. Like, this is what you're going to do." Basically like a cop-out. And it never really says what happened. I feel like he kind of took the blame for it.
Yeah.
And then basically like they... the story was basically like Lee and the bodyguard killed Ig, set him on fire, and then Terry came out there to stop it, and they messed up Terry, and they ended up killing each other, or Ig killed them, whatever. Basically, like, exonerating Terry of anything wrong.
Yeah, but also killing...
and killing them, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Ig basically becomes, like, full-on, like, devil. Like, he goes up in this tree and takes the seat on his fiery throne. That's kind of what it said.
That's where the devil lives, is in a tree?
There's, like, the cherry tree where Marin was murdered under.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's just where he lives now.
Yeah, it's like, that's what I mean. I don't know. It's like, is he the devil now? I guess.
I feel like he needs to go down to Hades town. Like, he needs to go to... Sorry, that's from a musical. He needs to go to hell, where the devil lives.
That's what I mean. I guess he's not the devil. I don't know. But it never, like, says why. Like, that's why this book kind of got... Because I did like it, but it didn't explain the point of the horns. Like, is he the new devil? Was he just chosen to be a new demon?
Yeah, I mean, it just sounds like it was like a really good way to help him solve the murder. Like it was it sounds interesting, but the end is just like, huh, okay, now what? And there's not a second book. There's not a second book.
No, that's it. So I mean, it kind of wrapped everything up.
I mean, the cherry tree sounds kind of like it's supposed to be poetic. So
yeah, and it's like
there's
fully burned and on fire.
Yeah.
And as Terry like goes back the last time before the book ends, and they're all kind of trumpet players. You can hear like a trumpet playing, like softly in certain spots.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and apparently like Marin was in there as well because he said when Ig went into the fiery tree, like she was there and they like kissed and stuff. I guess. Yeah. I don't know.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean. Do you have a favorite quote? I'm just spinning that on you.
No, I didn't have any quotes.
I think that you had said that.
Quotes.
I mean, it sounds like, I feel like yours was way more, that was a really good description. I feel like I got a little carried away in some spots.
Yeah.
But
well, mine was only 360 pages, so it's like pretty quick. Like there wasn't a lot of like time in between. It was like stuff is moving, stuff is happening.
Yeah. I can't even tell you how long mine was other than I think it's like 24 hours.
Okay. Well, I think mine was like 13.
Yeah. So mine was pretty long, but it's good.
There
was a lot of things I skipped because like for obvious reasons, I don't want to like tell you every detail, but there was like lots of traps and lots of seduction and it was really good. And I think that was like the most fun part of it. So
nice. Well, so after this, we are doing our first book swap now.
Yes.
Correct?
Well, really quick, would you recommend it?
Yeah. I mean, if you liked Stephen King, it's definitely like a Stephen King-esque book. Kind of like that dark, kind of gritty fantasy, kind of like a modern crime fantasy, I guess. I don't even know what crime fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's as good as Stephen King. Like, unless you've read a lot of Stephen King and you don't have much left, like, yeah, then yeah, sure, read this. Otherwise, I would probably say read other. But like I said, I have heard that his other books are better. This is his second book.
Yeah. No, I would love to hear.
But I thought it was good. There's also a
good.
movie. I might check it out. It doesn't have great reviews, so I don't know how good it is.
Oh, Daniel Radcliffe.
It might be good to see. I don't know.
I would love to watch it. I really liked this. I really liked it. Mine. I would recommend it.
So next part. This is going to be our first book swap. We were kind of finishing our other books, and now we're actually going to be swapping. So the actual name of our podcast, not our usual read. I recommend a book for Jenny. She recommends a book for me. She recommended Fourth Wing for me.
I'm so excited. For you to read this book. You're going to love it.
I recommended Dark Matter for her, which is an awesome sci-fi book.
Pretty excited too.
I know. So what we're going to try to do is talk about. We're going to try to guess what the plot is.
Yes.
By looking at just the cover. We're going to judge a book by its cover. Everyone tells you not to. We're going to try to. I kind of have an advantage because you've talked about this a lot. It's covered in dragons. I haven't read the back, but I have heard you talk about it a lot and walked in the bathroom when you're showering and it's playing.
Yeah. I was obsessed with this book very vocally. And I think I told you parts about it, but you were, not saying that you're not a good listener, babe, but I think that you kind of tuned me out a little bit. So I think that you might be a little in the dark on it.
A little
Don't
surprised.
Look at the back.
Okay.
That's cheating.
No, I'm not. So if I had to guess, it's definitely let's see, about dragons, of course. There's like 30 on this book. It is a very pretty book. It's got like really dragons on the edge of the page. But Fourth Wing, I know dragons don't have four wings. So maybe it's like Fourth Wing of like they're like a military wing or something, or
okay.
Fly or die. I don't. Maybe they have to keep flying forever or they die.
Yeah,
no, that's stupid. But yeah, I don't know what the fourth wing part is. But yeah, I'm sure it's dragon riders. They're probably fighting some kind of evil.
Yeah. Okay.
It's probably pretty.
Do you think it's romance or just fantasy?
Well, let's see. The top says sexy and sizzling, so it's definitely gonna be some romance in there.
Fair enough.
But romance with dragons or romance with people? I don't know. Could be some dragon sex in here.
You never know.
Never know. Jenny's into weird stuff.
I'm not going to reveal any secrets.
That's fine. Yeah, no.
But I think that we should definitely come back to this and see, because I think it would be fun if whoever's the closest, which it's probably going to be you, because this cover doesn't give a whole lot away.
Yeah, Dark Matter it's basically just like ripples.
But I will say,
but I've told you some about it as well.
Whoever's the closest should get to choose our first book that we read as a couple, like the book,
our buddy book.
Yes, our very first buddy book, which I'm excited about that too. Okay, so Dark Matter by Blake Crouch.
Yeah.
So on the cover, there's a couple walking on a sidewalk 3 times, and it's like lots of like repetition. Now I do have a little clue because you and I talked about it like a couple weeks ago, and you mentioned that it has to do with time travel. So I don't know if it's Back to the Future or Back to the Future, Into the Future, or Back to the Past.
It's not even technically time travel.
Well, don't tell me anything. Well, that's okay.
I think you'll like it. It's got
a mind-blowing sci-fi suspense love story mashup, which I'm super psyched about that.
And Blake Crouch is a great writer. It's a good book. It's
I'm gonna guess
there's a love story going on. There's some good sci-fi.
I'm gonna guess that it's these 2 people are put, like, I think that somebody gets hired for a job and they have to like travel in time to go do something.
No.
And don't tell me.
I'm already telling you you're wrong.
Okay. Should I guess again? Jeez, that's no fun. And then basically these 2 people like kind of like what is that movie? The John and Jill Smith. What's that called? Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
And Mrs. Smith.
Kind of like spies that travel in time and then they like fall in love.
Okay. Maybe. I guess we'll see. But yeah, it's not so much time travel.
Okay. Well, thanks for giving
like
me a clue that doesn't really clue.
Well, I read that book years ago. I was kind of thinking about it again. I'm like, oh yeah, it's not actually time travel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's sci-fi, so I wonder. Maybe it's like Inception. Changing my answer. It's a dream within a dream. But they
it
just
rhymes with mentions.
dimensions.
Yeah, like
Okay.
kind of alternate realities. Kind of.
Oh, I love that. Kind of like Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, or something like
Kind
that.
of, yeah.
So something like that, but
Yeah.
romance. Ooh, oh, that's exciting. Which that makes more sense for the cover, being like
Yeah, 3
layered.
times. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so new theory. I think that it's a couple, and like maybe they get, like somebody gets sucked into the wrong dimension, and they're like seeing, they have to like find each other. I don't know why, but that's my guess, is they have to find each other for some.
I mean, if you got sucked into another dimension, you wouldn't try to come find me.
Absolutely, I would.
There
But
you
what
go.
if that Jenny?
That's probably your first thought is
What
like,
if that other Jenny was
Where's
married
my
to like
husband?
Ryan Gosling? I mean, who am I to stand in the way? No, I'm just joking. I would find you.
sure.
Okay, well, you heard it here first, folks. When I'm right, I'm gonna get to choose our buddy books, and if Charlie's right, he'll get to choose. And
Awesome. Yeah, and next week we should be halfway through. Jenny's book is a lot shorter than mine, so you will have to read slowly.
yes,
My book's a lot thicker. But yes, we'll try to get to the halfway point, and then in 2 weeks we will do like the final
reveal.
reveal. If we liked it, if it's a series, if we'd keep reading it, if we'd recommend it. You know, kind of like what we did today, but with the other person's book.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to try to keep a running tally of read it or leave it, so we can see at the end of the season who has the best taste.
Yes, which is me, I think.
Could be.
Could be you though. I don't know. You're pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to follow along, please definitely grab one of these 2 books or both, and you can tell us which one of us has better taste. There's that way. You could also follow us on Instagram or wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, we are on Apple, iHeartRadio, and Discord. Yeah, I guess we will see everybody next week and talk to you then.
Happy reading.
Bye.